Namaskaram to everyone who all assembled here on this beautiful rainy Sunday. We take immense pleasure in presenting a Katha Kalakshepam on the topic Niti Chala Sukhama, which is an attempt to map the rich life history of Thiagaraja through select meaningful compositions. But before I begin, I would like to take a second to introduce this art of Katha Kalakshepam. The word Katha Kalakshepam can be split into 3 syllables. It means Katha, Kala, Shepa. Katha means stories, Kala means time, and Shepa means to pass. So Katha Kalakshepa, the art form, is literally the art of passing time with stories. It is a rich art form that dates multiple millennia. It's predated. The earliest Katha Kalakshepam artist is said to be sage Narada, who traveled across the 3 lokas chanting stories of Narayana. So this art form was adapted across multiple cultures, multiple languages across India, and each state, each language has kind of adopted this and it has its own way. Harikatha is a story, it's a way of chanting stories of Lord Hari. So with this introduction, today we want to commence an humble attempt to narrate the story of Thiagaraja in 1 hour. So normally we have Harikathas where people take 1 hour to just decode one composition. So we have a Herculean task of combining multiple songs and come up with a meaningful story to narrate today. So we do apologize in advance for mistakes that I am sure will be there. व्यासो नैकमचर्चया मृदुगिरा वाल्मीकजन्मामुनि वैराग्यशुकये वाच भक्तिविषये प्रह्लादये वाश्वयम् ब्रह्मनारदये वाष्टप्रतिमयो सङ्गीत साहित्ययो रामामृतपान निर्जित शिवास्तं त्यागराजं भजे. I'm commencing this Harikatha with a short verse by Valajapet Venkatramana Bhagavatar. He is known as the Prathama Shishya, the first disciple of Thiagaraja. In this short verse, he introduces the mastery of Thiagaraja. He says, Vyaso Naigamacharchaya. Thiagaraja was equal to Vyasa in Naigama. Naigama means knowledge of Vedas. Naigamacharchaya. Mridugira Valmika Janmamuni. He was equal to Valmiki in Mridugira, in sweet poetry. Valmiki, as we all know, is credited for creating the first shloka in Sanskritam in Narayana. So he was akin to Valmiki in composing verses in Sanskrit. Vairakhya Shukaye Vacha. He was akin to Shukar in renunciation. Vairakhya Shukaye Vacha. Bhakti Vishaye Prahladaye Vashvayam. In Bhakti, he was equal to Prahlada. Today we all know Navavita Bhakti, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dhasyam, Sakhyam. The person who created the framework for Bhakti. So he was equal to Prahlada in Bhakti Vishaye. Brahmanaradaye Vashta Pratimayo Sangeeta Sahityayo. In Sangeetam and Sahityam, in music and musical literature, he was equal to Brahma and Narada. Till this sentence, Venkatramana Bhagavatar equates Thiagaraja to various people, right? He says he is like Vyasa, he is like Shukar, he is like Valmiki. He is equal to all of those people. But there is one person he says he has surpassed. Who has he surpassed? He says, Ramamritapana Nirjita Shivastam Thiagaraja Jambaji. He has surpassed Shiva. Where has he surpassed? In drinking the nectar of Rama, he has surpassed Shiva. Such was the mastery, bhakti, such was the genius of Thiagaraja. We all know that today. But what was the story of Thiagaraja? During the 17th century, around the same time when Vijayanagara Empire fell in today's India, a lot of people migrated from present-day Andhra Pradesh, Telangana to southern India. Amongst the hordes of people who had moved and migrated, there was one couple called Rama Brahmam and Seethamma. They had moved and settled in a place called Thiruvarur. They had 3 children, Jappesan, Sundaresan, Thiagaraja. Jappesan was the elder son, and he was interested in a wide variety of things. He was interested in music, he was interested in tantram, mantram, astrology. He had wide variety of interests, but he did not have a unidirectional interest. Very little is known of the second son Sundaresan. A lot of people commonly believe that he attained sannyasam or he became an ascetic at a young age. So we are not fortunate to know a lot about what happened to him. But Rama Brahmam has his name suggests Rama Brahmam and Seethamma. What a beautiful name to have for your parents, right? So he was deeply engrossed in the bhakti of Rama. And he always wanted a son or a daughter who also was equally interested in Rama, who also had the bhakti that he had for his Rama. His home had a Rama idol that Ashraicha Bhagavan Aathala Ashraicha Bhagavan. So every day the deity that they prayed to in their home was a Pattabhisheka, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana and Anjanaya. So he was yearning for a kid who had bhakti, that he could pass on this bhakti to. One day, the presiding deity of current day Thiruvarur, who is called Thiagaraja Swami, to this day the majestic temple is still present in Thiruvarur. The deity came in the dream of Rama Brahmam and said, Rama Brahmam, I myself will be born to you. And we all know Shiva was the greatest Rama Bhakta. So he says, I will be born and I will continue this legacy of Rama Bhakti. And very soon, the 3rd child was born. And without much surprise, this child was named after the presiding deity called Thiagaraja. The word Thiagaraja itself means Thiagaraja. Tyaga means renunciation. But we all know Thiagaraja does not do anything in half measure. So Tyagam also, he is the king of renunciation. He just renounces everything towards the bhakti of Rama. So he was aptly named Thiagaraja. Thiagaraja was a young child and he would accompany his father, who was a Uttama Bhagavatar. It is said today, when we don't have a very comprehensive history of Thiagaraja today, we are all unfortunate for that. But what we know today, we know that he was a Uttama Bhagavatar who did Unchavrati, who did Nama Sankirtanam, who was engrossed in Rama Bhakti. And this Kutti Thiagaraja would accompany his father for all of these Nama Sankirtanams in Bhakti. So one fine day, during this auspicious day of Ramanavami, in their home, the celebration is in all grandeur and aplomb. As the celebrations were ongoing, suddenly Rama Brahmam hears someone murmuring. He hears someone singing. He looks around to see what is happening, and then he sees Kutti Thiagaraja, small Thiagaraja standing right there and singing something. So he calls Thiagaraja and says, Thiagaraja, what are you doing? He says, no, Appa, I'm chumma singing something. Oh, no, you should not chumma sing something. You should sing for the deity. Why don't you sing a small song for Sri Rama here? As soon as he asks, Thiagaraja takes up his tambura and comes and starts. Namo, Namo. Namo Namo Raghavaya. Namo is completely taken aback. The reason? He has not heard of this song before. He knows Thiagaraja accompanies him everywhere. So where has he learned this song? So immediately he asked Thiagaraja, Thiagaraja, who taught this composition to you? It sounds so mellifluous, a beautiful Deshika Thodi. It is in Sanskrit. Kutti Thiagaraja. Does anyone want to take a guess how old Thiagaraja was when we were talking about this?
4.
5. Oh, he was 13. Sometimes audience questions do go wrong. He was 13 and then Thiagaraja says, Appa, I don't know, I thought about it. As you wanted me to sing of Rama, this came. Pravagma Vailendu Varad. Rama Brahman is completely taken aback because Shruti Suddham, Shwara Suddham, Sanskritam, he is unable to understand the genius of Thiagaraja. But as with all the parents who are in the audience will understand, everyone really enjoys their kid. But when do you truly get happiness? When someone else also appreciates your kid. You can sing beautifully. You know your child sang beautifully today. But as soon as Srinivasan Mama comes and says, aha, beautiful. you feel happy, right? In that town, at this point they were in Thiruvayyar. In that town was a very famous musician called Sonti Venkatramanayya. During that point of time, you should understand in Tanjavur, arts were flourishing. They were flourishing. It is said that the ruler, Saraboji Maharaja, had 300 court musicians. Not one, not two. He had 300 royal court musicians who held court every day for music. So Sonti Venkatramanayya was the local Carnatic music expert. So Rama Brahman wanted to take his son to Sonti Venkatramanayya so he can for himself judge and tell him about Thiagaraja. So he takes him to Sonti Venkatramanayya and he tells him, this is my son Thiagaraja. I want him to sing a small song to you. Maybe if you want to listen. We all have done that, right? We have musical teachers here. As soon as the kid is 2 or 3, we want to take them and say, she learned Lambodara. Can you please listen and tell how good the child is? So Rama Brahman has the same excitement. And Thiagaraja has a Ola Chuvadi, the verse that he has written. Sonti Venkatramanayya looks at the small kid and he's like, what is that verse you have in your hand? Because at that point of time, people don't carry a lot of verses, right? So Thiagaraja, who is a small kid, he is very excited, right? He says, oh yeah, this is a song I composed. Then Rama Brahman is a bit scared now. Because it is okay to sing someone else's song. The teachers will be less forgiving. Imagine I go in front of a music teacher and be like, I composed a song, I want to sing it for you, and then I sing so badly, my father will be double embarrassed. So he is scared, and there's also humility, right? In front of the teacher, you're not supposed to show your skills, you should not parade your skills. So Rama Brahman is a little bit worried. But then Venkatramanayya sees the small kid is like, no, I want to listen to your composition only. Then Thiagaraja starts. prostrates. He says, I have not heard of such a composition before. That too coming from the musical Bhakti Bhava genius of a young child. It would be my pleasure and honor to have him as my Sishya. We all have faced that, right? It is important to have a good guru in your life. We hear Harini sing very well. The first question anyone asks is, who is the guru? Oh, she learns from Shruti Ramesh. Definitely she should be singing that. Sainan plays beautifully. Of course he learns from Sai Giridhar. Of course he will play beautifully. Rushmi plays violin like no other. Of course she learns from Anjana Akka. So the teacher adds a level of legitimacy to the student, because you know when they are learning from the teacher, they are going to pass on certain level of knowledge. But Thiagaraja sets us all another standard even here also, because from his life story what we know is you should start as such a student, but you should become like a student like Thiagaraja. You know why? Soon Venkatramana became famous for being the guru of Thiagaraja. Venkatramana was like, I should be honored to have Thiagaraja as my student. As we said, Sarabhoji Maharaja at that point of time in Tanjavur, he would hold court every day and they would have something called a darbar. Darbar was a royal conglomeration where every day there would be artists who would present their music. You can have so many people. Your question will be, do they all sing well? Each one was better than the other. One day on Monday, someone would come. There was no one else who could sing Hamir Kalyani like him. The next day, there was someone from whom you cannot sing Pallavi like him. In fact, it is said Venkatramana Bhagavatar, like the Venkatramana, who was the teacher for Thiagaraja, was very well known for his tanams. There are some stories that is said that hearing his tanam, the royal court gave him acres and acres of land. They gave him gold and ornaments and took him in a royal procession across current day Chennai. There is some documents that are available that were talking about his musical mastery. So in preparation for the Darbar, the musicians would conglomerate amongst themselves, and they would have what we call as today's day jam. They would all jam together. So Venkatramana is very proud of Thiagaraja, right? So he wanted to invite Thiagaraja one day and present a short piece amongst his peers. He wanted everyone to know about Thiagaraja. So he invites Thiagaraja one day and he's like, Thiagaraja, can you sing a couple of sentences, 2 minutes? Do you want to please sing amongst all of these musicians? Immediately Thiagaraja starts. Chira Sagara Kshayana So he sang. Everyone around them feels very similarly how we feel now. We want Harini to keep singing, right? So all the court musicians are transfixed. And a beautiful story about this particular composition that I heard from another Upanyasakara. The reason of multiple reasons, but one of the reasons why Thiagaraja to this day is celebrated is he had both Bhakti Bhava musical mastery plus lyrical mastery. In this particular composition, he says Shira Sagara Sayana. And as you heard the singer sing, all the improvisations are always on the first 2 words, Shira Sagara. But Shayana is always played and sung plain. And the reason they say is the words mean Shira Sagara, which is the milky ocean where Lord Narayana resides, right? And in ocean what do you have? You have waves. So all the improvisations are in Shira Sagara. But then Shayana talks about the Lord sleeping. So you don't have any improvisation for that word. So such was the genius of Thiagaraja. So the people around him were transfixed. So what was supposed to be a 2-minute performance before the Darbar became an 8-hour recital where everyone was transfixed and just listening to Thiagaraja. A parallel that I draw in my mind, in Periyarvar Tirumuri, Periyarvar says, when Krishna was born, Oduvar, Viruvar, Uganthalipar, Naduvar, Nampiran, Yengutran Yenbar, Paduvargalum, Palparai Kotte, Nindra, Aduvargalum, Andre. When Krishna was born, people who were running, people who were singing, everyone were transfixed. All they cared about was only the fact that Krishna was born in Ayapadi. Similarly, when Thiagaraja was singing, everyone was transfixed. Everyone was happy, but one person was not happy. Any guesses? Saraboji Maharaja. He is waiting for his darbar. No one is there to sing. He is waiting for his darbar. He had 300 court musicians, not one is singing for him. So he is very angry. He's like, where is Sonte Venkatramana Bhagavatar? What happened to all my musicians? Then someone goes and tells him, we are sorry. But Sonte Venkatramana Bhagavatar Sishya Thiagaraja sang today. So for 8 hours we were all just transfixed there. So that's why there is no one in your darbar today. Initially the ruler was very irritated. He was like, you all disrespected me. But then he thinks to himself, oh, I should twist this. You know how? If I invite Thiagaraja to my court and make him sing in my court, then people will be transfixed in my court. Slowly he will be my court musician, and soon he will compose compositions on me. And in the future, people will know me as the person who was celebrated by Thiagaraja. So he thinks to himself and he's like, where is this Thiagaraja live? Oh, Tiruvayaru. So he sends all his court ministers with promise of gold, silver, diamonds, royal processions, the post of being a royal musician, and he sends all of them to Tiruvayaru. There we told, Thiagaraja recites, and Thiagaraja's every day is a very humble, simple day. He starts his day with Unchuvritti. He does Nitya Karmanushtanams. He sings. He teaches. He does Bhagarnama Sankirtanam. In the night he does Divyanamam. He does Pabalimbu. And every day, next day morning, he wakes up for Unchuvritti. So this was the day of Thiagaraja. And as you can see, his was not a life that was marked by significant material possessions. When he taught music or when he was composing music, there was no one giving him money. He only taught people as and when they came, only for the love for Rama. His brother Jappesan, who also lived nearby, was a little bit tempted. He understood the significance or mastery of Thiagaraja, and he always had this little bit of almost ekam in his heart that they could use this mastery to have a little bit of an elevated lifestyle. So the royal procession, they're all going to Tiruvayar and they're inquiring. That's like, does anyone know where Thiagaraja lived? Jappesan is sitting in front of his thinnai and he's like, oh, if the king, people from the court are coming, for sure some problem only. I don't want to get into all of this. Thiagaraja, I don't know any Thiagaraja. But why do you want to know him? It's like, no, he is going to be appointed as the court musician. I have gold, silver, diamond, everything. Oh no, I know Thiagaraja. Thiagaraja is my brother. I am sorry, I got confused for a second. I heard it was another Thiagaraja. I know him. I will take him to his house. And they all go with a plumb and they go inside. Thiagaraja is sitting in front of Lord Rama and he's singing. And the court immediately comes, the minister comes and says, Thiagaraja, you have been given the honor for being the head court musician for Saraboji Maharaja. Anyone in this position would have been little bit tempted, right? You see gold, silver, promise of land, promise of fame, promise of title. Thiagaraja at that point of time takes a second to think. Someone calls me today to sing his compositions on Lord Rama. The king will hear this. Normal mortals, right? Like let's say if I get promoted to a particular position in my company, beyond money, beyond fame, what is the first thing I will want? Someone to validate me, someone to say, you did a good job, you're doing a great job. He is the king of Tanjavur. He hears this music, the first thing he will want me to sing about him. And if I was in his court, I am bound to sing about him. He thought, Do I want to sing about Lord Rama, the Jagangloka Pitha, the king of the entire world, or do I want to sing about the king of Tanjavur? He looks at them calmly and he says, I don't want this position. The ministers are taken aback, but Japesan is even more taken aback. He's like, Thiagaraja, I tolerated you when you did not go and ask anyone for money. It was fine. But today the money is in front of your home. People are offering it to you without even you asking him. Why would you say no to this? At that time was born this beautiful composition. Thiagaraja sings, Nidhi chala sukhama Ramuni sannidhi seva sukhama Nija bhugabal kumanasa Nidhi chala sukhama There, this composition was given birth at that point of time. Instead of just saying yes or no, Thiagaraja answers with a composition. He says, Niti Chal Sukhama. He said he was born in the 17th, 18th century, right? And he still remains relevant to this day. He guides our musical journeys. He guides our bhakti journeys. And that is because Thiagaraja understands nuance. It is very easy to say, do you need money? The answer is yes. If I had said, do you need money, and the composition was dated 17th, 18th century, if we sing it today, we'll be like, yeah, it's a good composition. But it's not relevant today because you do need money. But that was not the question Thiagaraja says. He says, Niti Chala Sukhama. Does that give you lasting happiness? That was the question he asked. Andal said, Ningada selvam nirendelo rembavar. That wealth that does not go away easily. The $100 we have in our pocket only lasts one movie ticket. So that is not lasting happiness, right? Today the value of money completely changes. We have kids in the audience who are laughing. Probably it is half a movie ticket these days. So the value of money changes. So he says, Niti Chala Sukama Rama Sanniti Seva Sukama. He says, what will give me happiness, oh Manasa? So he answers Japesan and says, you can choose two things. You always have a choice. You can let go of things and you can do the snana in Ganga. Or you can be desirous of material possessions. You can want everything and kupa snanama. He says, even the bath will not purify you because you're only asking for more dirt. He says, I have two choices. I can praise the Almighty, or I can praise a mortal, Narastuti Sukama. I can praise a mere mortal and ask for money, or I can get everlasting happiness by praising Lord Rama. So he tells Japesan, I don't want this, I choose lasting happiness. But Japesan is not very happy about this answer because he had the promise of instant wealth that was given away by Thiagaraja so easily. He looks around him and he sees the deity, the idol of Lord Rama, and he says, all of the reason for all of this is this deity. Having this deity is only giving you all of these wrong ideas. So in a fit of anger, he takes Lord Rama, he runs and throws away the idol in the river Kaveri. He just throws the idol away and he says, if you don't have this Rama, then probably your mind will change. At that point of time, Thiagaraja is filled with grief, separation. He is filled with anxiety. Every day, every second of his day was consumed by seva for this Ramamurti. And one fine day, Japesan simply just throws the Lord Rama away. For a lot of people, when we are confronted with sadness or grief beyond measure, there is a little bit of a tendency to externalize it, right? The reason could be if I say I am confronted with some level of sadness. My first instinct is to blame someone else for it. Who could be the reason? My husband could be the reason. My father could be the reason. My mother could be the reason. My friends, my family, God himself could be the reason. So there is a level of externalization that's there. And there are some compositions where Thiagaraja is actually angry with Rama. But what makes him relevant and stand still to this day is because he applies the same externalization and also turns the journey inward. And during this time, even though a lot of the compositions are not dated because we have lost a lot of those history, we can see a lot of compositions at that point of time where Thiagaraja is deeply self-introspective. He goes inside and he serves as a lesson for all of us, and he goes inside and he says, what have I done to deserve this? And we have taken one such composition which is very famous and we sang even today. We call it a Pancharatna Kriti. In his Kriti, he sings to save this great sinner. Thiagaraja calls himself a sinner. In his Charitra, we hear that by the time he was 32 or 33, he had chanted Rama Nama 10 crore times and Lord Rama was Pratyaksha. But he says, Gadiya Gadiyaru Nindaru. Every moment of my life I have been committing sins. We are almost confused. Thiagaraja, what sin could you have committed? He says, I am a sinner who did not understand the omnipresence of God. I did not know that God was everywhere. Sakala bhuthamulayandu nivayundala madireka kodina sakala bhuthamulayandu nivayundala madireka kodina But so what? What happens if you do not contemplate the omnipresence of God everywhere? If I do not contemplate the omnipresence of God everywhere, I fail to understand that God lives in you, God lives in you, God lives in every person that I meet every day. If I do not understand that, I risk hurting that person by not understanding your omnipresence. So he immediately sings in the next verse, Paradhana mula kora kunurula marikaraga baliki katukunim badirigi nandi Paradhana mula kora kunurula marikaraga attention inward and he says, what should I do? What is the upasana? What is the way I have forward? A lot of people ask the question, right? Rama was pratyaksham for Thiagaraja, but why did Rama create this incident where he was lost in idol? He was lost in the river Kaveri and filling Thiagaraja with grief. We see a lot of compositions around this time where you can feel the grief of Thiagaraja. You see compositions like Tarida Puleka, Nagumomu, where you can feel his pain. So I heard a Vyakyata say, it is almost like a relationship, right? You are with your husband and your wife, many years you're together, you're almost used to the person. So you know everything about that person, you know when they laugh, when they cry. But when does the affection really come closer? When they leave. When they leave, you start thinking, oh, if my spouse was here, if my father was here, I know he will want coffee in this level. And when I drink that level of coffee, I immediately think, when my appa was here, he would have really liked this coffee. Now he is in India. Or when my friend was here, she would have really liked this particular item of clothing that I bought. So what happens is that kind of separation itself creates a proximity. So Rama, who was now very used to Thiagaraja, right? He created Utsava Sampradaya Kritis, which we listened not too long ago, where he had Kritis for waking him up, for making him sleep, for making him drink milk. So Rama was used to all of that. Now he wanted some new flavor in that relationship. So he created that separation. So he will also enjoy the proximity. He will enjoy the separation of Thiagaraja. But the lesson we all have is what happens when you turn all of this attention inward. When you're able to sit with a problem for a long time, and when you're able to introspect about that problem, you finally get a realization. And for Thiagaraja, a realization was born. And we are all lucky because his realization also helps guide our journeys. He thought to himself, what is the upasana, what is the way that I will have for my journey with Lord Rama? And then he immediately finds one, which is Nadhopasana. Upasana means worship, meditation. It is a way of going with the divine. But he finds Nada Upasana. So what is Nada Upasana? Thiagaraja answers for us. composition he explains what Nathopasana is. What is Nathopasana? What is there? Shankara, Narayana, Vidulu, Velashiri. They are effulgent, they are obvious, they are shining. Who is shining? Shankara, Narayana, Vidulu, Vidhi, Brahma. All three of them are pratyaksham when you do Nathopasana. He says mantra, atmulu, yantratmulu. They are the very essence of the mantras, yantras and the tantras. They exist across countless cosmic ages, Manimantram. And he says, they delight. What do they delight in? What makes them happy? He says, Tantri Layaswara. Soon we will have Veena compositions, and we had, right? Tantri Layaswara. When they play stringed instruments, when they sing Raga Vilolu, they are delighted by that. And this is the realization that Thiagaraja had when he did his introspection. He says, Thiagaraju Vandyulu Swatantrulu. So we have this upasana, we have this way. And Nadam, we say it's music, he actually says sound. Nada is sound. So you can do worship through music. So he suggests this path to us. When someone suggests anything to us, what is the first question we will ask? What did we ask? Why should I do it? You can tell me whatever you want. Why should I do it? What is it in for me? Why should I have to do it? Thiagaraja anticipates all of these questions in 2026. So his next compositions answers the why immediately. He sings, Yaga Yoga Tyaga Bhoga Phala Mosange Yaga Yoga Tyaga Bhoga Phala Mosange Here he says, Yaga, Yoga, Tyaga, Bhoga, Palamasanghe. If you do Nathopasana, what do you get? You get the fruits, you get the results, Palamasanghe, of the benefits of doing Yaga, Yoga, Bhoga, Tyaga. Tyaga is renunciation, Yagam is Yajnam, Yogam, and then Bhoga, which is offering food. He says all of this you get how? Raga Sudharasa Padamu Jesi. You are not drinking, it is not like medicine, right? It is not like your Deepavali Marandu, your grandmother forces it on your nose, mouth and says, you drink this very, very bitter thing, you will be happy. He says, no. Draksha Rasamu Kanna. He says, Palamosa. It is such a sweet nectar. Sudha Rasamu Jesi. But that's all we get. Then I might as well do Yaga, Yoga, Bhoga. I am capable of doing all of that. Then he says, no, not just that. In the Charanam he says, Sadhashiva Mayamagu Nada Omkara Swara. Swara Vidulu Jeevan Muktulani Thiagaraju Teliyu. I'm going to start with the last word. He says, Thiagaraju Teliyu. There are a lot of compositions. Narasaya Garu said, right? There is a lot of compositions that end with questions. Deitamu Sukama, Advaitamu Sukama. The answer is with you. A lot of questions, Thiagaraja literally says, what is the answer? But here he says, Thiagaraju, tell you, I know what I am talking about. Sadashiva Mayamagu Omkara Swaravidula. The first music lesson any child goes through is Re Gama Pada Ni Sa Sa Ni Dha Pa Ma Ga Re Sa. He says these are not just swaras. Omkara Swaravidulu. The primordial sounds that are inherited and composed as swaras cannot just offer you sweetness in your mouth, sweetness in your ears. He says, Jeevan Muktulani Thiagaraju tell you, they are even capable of offering eternal salvation. Jeevan Muktulani. If you do Nathopasana, you get the benefit of the Omkar, the primordial sounds through the Swara Devatas, through the Raga Devatas, who give you Jeevan Muktulani. And Thiagaraja ends it authoritatively without question. Thiagaraju tell you. That is born out of realization, right? So he answered the why question. As soon as someone answers the why question, what is the next question you will ask them? How? Obviously, how? You're telling me this great thing, I'm getting this all of the palamu, yagam, yogam and all of that, I need to do it. I need to know how to do it. This answer is actually not only given by Thiagaraja, but for a lot of music students, their teacher themselves give this answer. Does anyone want to take a guess? What does your music teachers often tell you? Practice. Now I'm going to see 10 students walk away from this Harikatha because they are not happy with this answer. He says practice. They're like, Radhika, what are you saying? Where does Thiagaraja say practice? So for this composition, I'm going to do something differently. First, I'm going to introduce the song so that the kids are not angry at me. Then I will say what Thiagaraja said. So he says practice in this song, which is Suga Suga Mridanga Talamu. Suga Suga Mridanga Talamu. Jatapu Chenimu. Sukka Jeyu Derudu Baro. Derudu So the kids have not forgotten my question, which is where does Thiagaraja talk about practice? He says, Sogasuga mridanga talamu. Music should almost be sogam. It should give you nimmadi. Aswarma vadina irukuma. Suttama vadina irukuma. Mridanga talamu. It should sound good with mridangam. You have a mridangam artist. Even before your music teacher, the one person who knows you made a mistake is mridangam artist. One tala pramana misses, he'll know. He has to manage, then the concert will be good. So he says, Mridanga tadamu yarkadu panna theriyuma? Chakka jeyu evvaro. Is there anyone? And he says music should have two things. He says, Nigama shirotamu galgina nijavakulato swara suddhamuto. Swara suddhama padan. High aspirations. Thiagaraja says, eventually we should all sing swara suddhama. But for students, we should aspire for that. He does not say everyone should do it from day one. We should aspire for that. Nijavakulato. The songs that we sing should be the truth. They should be inspired by Vedas. They should be inspired by Shruti, Smriti. Then he says songs should have compositions. And as people ascend in their musical career, they come up with compositions, right? And Thiagaraja, knowing this ascension, in Sharanam, he clarifies how should a song be. He says yati. Yati means rules of prosody. The lyrical meters of the song should be correct. Vishrama. This is a very dangerous instruction. Vishrama means rest. He says you should know when to rest in a song. You cannot sing Thiagaraja. Thiagaraja. There's many compositions, they are literally traps. Nagumomu Ganaleni is a very classic example, a beautiful masterpiece. But you cannot say Nagumo Omu Ganaleni. Nagumomu Ganaleni. The words have meaning, right? You cannot split incorrectly because that changes the meaning of the song. He says Vishrama Sadbhakti. When you sing, you should have true devotion in your heart. Virati. Virati means you should give away, it should be renunciation. When you sing, you should not sing for aspirations of people praising you. You should not attach self-importance to your singing. You should give it away and sing for God. Virati. Draksha rasa. The music should be so mellifluous. It is like the nectar of grape. Navarasa. The songs should invoke Navarasam. It should invoke happiness, sadness, anger, complaint, prema. So such should be. But then in the end, Thiagaraja says, Thiagarajuni Tarama Sri Rama. He says, am I capable of composing such songs? Thiagaraja asks. And the irony is, I am sitting in a stage in front of a mic and confidently speaking, but Thiagaraja says in his composition, Thiagarajuni Tarama. Which means the foremost thing that we have to inspire from that is humility. No matter where we are in our journey, we can be great, we can be good, we can start. You should always have that humility in your heart to down yourself in front of the Divine Almighty, in front of your gurus. And that is what he says. You should practice, because for you to sing like that, to do Natha Upasana, you need practice. With this, one question remains. Thiagaraja did all of this. He gave this Upasana. But what did Thiagaraja gain out of it? Because when someone tells us something, the first humane thing is to first see if they are doing it. Have they done it? What did they gain out of it? Imagine I told you and be like, I have a project for you which will give you $1 million. You asked why, I showed. You asked how, I said how. But then the first question, normal question you will ask me is, do you first have $1 million? Like, first, have you used that in your life? What did you gain out of that project? Similarly, we can ask the same question about Thiagaraja, right? We said his life was not necessarily known for its material possessions. It was only known for his bhakti, for his compositions, for his music. But what did he gain out of it? And we are going to end this Harikatha in this beautiful composition. And in this composition he says, Inta Saukya Manine Japachala Yento Yemo Yavariki Telusuno. He says, the happiness that I have gotten out of this, I am not able to explain. Thiagaraja says, the person who had mastered the 22 Shrutis, Dasavita Khamakas, Prakriti Swaras, Vikriti Swaras, he knew everything about Raga Bhavam, Bhavam, Bhakti. You know about literature. He says, I don't know how to, I can explain all of the other things that I have, but this one thing I don't know how to explain. He says, Yarada Terinjida, Ento Emo, Everiki Telusno. If you know how to explain this happiness, please help me explain. He says, Swara Raga Layasuda Rasamandu Vara Rama Namamante Kanta Chakera. Swara Raga Layamdra Mudatila Rama Namamgra Kanta Chakera Karkandu. அதை சேர்த்து கலத்தாப்புல வர அந்த ஒரு ஸ்வீட் இருக்கு, அந்த ஸ்வீட்டை சாப்பிட்டா எந்த இஸ் ட்ரைங் டு கிவ் அஸ் அ மெட்டஃபர். இதெல்லாம் சொல்லிட்டு இந்த சௌக்கியம் மணினே ஜெபச்சால ஒரு வேளை இஃப் ஐ ஹாவ் டு எக்ஸ்பிளைன் மேபி இட் இஸ் லைக் திஸ் நெக்டர் கம்பைன்ட் வித் திஸ் கற்கண்டு, மேபி தட் இஸ் த ஒன்லி அனாலஜி ஐ கேன் கிவ் யூ. So we want to end this Harikatha by saying, if we are able to do Nathopasana, listen to our beautiful teachers and do practice, what we will also get out of this is Inta Sukhamanine Japajala Inta Sukhamanine Japajala Inta with this, we thank BSS for this wonderful opportunity and for accommodating us today. And we hope for all of you to have in the Saukyamanine, the kind of Saukyam that you are not able to explain in words. Thank you.
So before we can move on to the next, I'd like to give a